topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Join your host, who is a multiple #1 international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer. She's the founder of Genuinely-You and has 30 years experience of helping people step into their genuine, authentic power. And now, here is Gina Gardner, your host of Leadership for Life.
Hello there, and welcome to the show. We're going to do things a bit differently today because my guest, Francis West, is a huge expert on cybersecurity. And we live in a world these days which is fraught by challenges, particularly around keeping ourselves and our money and our business and our information safe. So we're going to explore cybersecurity and how taking personal responsibility and appropriate action can actually stem the tide of the amazing tidal wave of scams and challenges that we all now experience because of the internet. It is entirely possible to stay ahead of the scammers and the hackers who are constantly looking for ways to get at our money and our information. And anybody who has been hacked or had their information stolen will know that it is a really significant issue, and it takes time and money and a huge amount of effort to actually get things back on track. So my guest, Francis West, is a cybersecurity expert with many years' experience, and he's going to share with you his thoughts, his expertise. But before I actually bring him into the show, I want you to share with you his bio. He says, "Some call me the superhero of cybersecurity, but I'm just doing my civic duty, fighting cybercrime, protecting citizens and businesses from the potential devastation of hackers and scammers. When I take a rare day off from tackling cyber villains, you can find me consulting about the dark web and cyber computer security, working closely with banks, councils, cyber police, WCIT, we'll find out what that is in the show, speaking in the UK and internationally, or building projects and old pallets." He's originally from South Africa, and he spent nearly 30 years in the UK delivering IT and cybersecurity solutions to businesses. He launched West Tech Solutions with the aim of redefining IT support to the SME sector. Through hard work and a great deal of innovation, he's formed strategic partnerships to provide comprehensive support and cutting-edge cybersecurity solutions through Security Everywhere, a cybersecurity-based business aimed at educating and protecting over 1 million people from cyber attacks by 2023. He's a mentor for CompTIA, helping train the technology gurus of the future. Francis believes that it's the increase in cyber awareness that is at the heart of the solution to the threats we all face. So without more ado, I would like to introduce you to my good friend, Francis West. Francis, welcome.
Thank you very, very much, Gina. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to work on my mission to educate and protect at least a few more people towards my 1 million target by 2023. Thank you.
I'd like to think that you're going to meet your target long before then. I know in a previous conversation, before we talk about your background, but in a previous conversation, you gave me a statistic about the increase in the number of scams and cyber attacks. I wonder if you'd share that, because that's a really good baseline, I think, from us to work.
Absolutely. I mean, before I give that to you, the way I get my stats from, I now sit on 3 different security panels in the UK.
Yep.
And I've also just been asked to chair the national lead for cybersecurity of the Federation of Small Businesses in the UK, which is great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And one of the things, the stats that we had, one of our meetings that we have every month for 2 hours, the one panel I sit on, in January, they said that the scams have increased by up to 660% since last March, which is the start of COVID. And I've been in this game for 30 years, and I've never, ever, ever seen anything like it. So I think the figure is probably higher, but that's what we know about at the moment.
That's significantly scary. Let's just park that for a moment. How on earth did you get into cybersecurity? It's not the sort of thing that, you know, meeting a cybersecurity expert is not something that you do every day, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story, that, because if you rewind maybe, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and you said to me, what do? I said, we run an IT support company looking after a lot of small businesses around the world. And, you know, you install the average pieces, you know, the usual known antivirus solutions. But I personally had a really bad experience. So I got involved with an investor, and they actually put a keylogger on my work machine. And as I was logging into my home computer to check my personal email, what they did was they captured my login details and then logged into my personal account at home and found emails that I was actually asking my client to say, listen, I'm being, I want to put a word nicely, I'm being shortchanged by my existing investor. What can I do? Anyway, and they found these emails and they said, I put the business in dispute. And to give you the short version, is that I was walked into my own boardroom and own business and own premises that I've been working on for 18 years. And they said, well, because of these emails that you've sent out, you've put the business in dispute and we're immediately dismissing you without pay. And can you imagine this? So what happened in the end was I walked out. I was so relieved because I was going through hell at this time. But then I had the police involved, and the police came to my house, and I proved to them, because I had it in black and white, that they broke the Computer Misuse Act in 11 different places, and the police did nothing. They said it's a civil case. So in a nutshell, I lost my business because of a data breach from my own computer in my own home personal email account. So when I now speak to people, you know, I don't tell a lot of people the story because there's a lot of pain involved. But I want to avoid this for so many people. And you know, that's just my own personal experience. I have so many stories. I mean, only this week, if I may share another one, I was approached by another young gentleman. He's 24 years old, and he lost his entire deposit for his house. He's been living with his parents for I don't know how many years, obviously from birth, and he was about to move out. And the solicitor that was doing the property transaction for him was compromised. The bank details were changed, and unfortunately, he didn't double check it. So it is his fault, one could argue. And he paid his entire deposit of £47,000 directly into the hacker's bank account, and the money is gone. The bank doesn't want to pay it back. The solicitor says, tough, sorry, but you should have not, we told you at the bottom of our emails not to ever accept any bank changes, and he paid the money. So he's probably going to stay with his parents now for another 10 or odd years, you know. But I get these stories every single day, maybe because I concentrate. And what, you know, one other thing I'd like to share with everybody before we even go on, there's a brilliant book written by Frank Abagnale called Scam Me If You Can, and I'm just pointing it now if people are listening to this and not watching it. And this book is amazing because this is the book that was, if you remember the movie Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
And that same guy that the movie was made after is called Frank. I mean, he's my absolute hero, this guy. He's done so much to prevent scams and frauds, and I urge everybody to buy this book off Amazon and read it. And once you've read it, give it to your mother, your sister, your brother, because, you know, our biggest weapon against this stuff is education.
Yeah.
You know, education first, and then putting better systems in second. So sorry, that was a long answer, I know, Gina.
Well, I think it's a really important
this is very personal for me. It's very personal.
It's one of the reasons why I made the decision that I was going to shift the structure of this show, because if through this we can help individuals, and one of the things I'd like to do, if you're agreeable, is I'd like to separate out what we can do in terms of our personal cyber safety and then in terms of business, because there'll be many people who listen to this show who will say, well, I haven't got a business. He doesn't mean me. And yet there are many people whose life savings are taken by people who scam, and or their information. And I think one of the things that struck me when we were speaking a few weeks ago is how people taking your information in some ways can be more of a challenge than people taking your money. So would you be happy for us to start with personal cybersecurity, and then we'll go into the business arena, if that's all right with you?
100% yes, Gina, but I'm controversial and I'm South African, so I'm very direct, so sorry for this. So I'm going to disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Because every person runs their own business, I agree. So they all have 24 hours and they maybe sell 8 hours a day. So they run their own little business, and I call it I Incorporated. So that's number one. Number two, most people, unfortunately, are most at risk, especially now with COVID and so many people working from home, and they're sitting next to or working on the same wireless network as their partner or their children, and the risk is like COVID. You can't see it until it takes you out. There's so many similarities. So sorry that I mentioned this, but so yeah, of course, I'd love to focus on the home or the home worker or home person, and by that I include every member of the family. Yes. Because only today, one of my head of security sent me a link, and I could tell the story again later if you want, about how many kids are downloading. We call them mods. They allow you to get extra functionality in games. Yeah. And these things are riddled with infections. And these kids are going onto sites where they think they're going to gain something by downloading, and the moment they install it to have extra features in their game, it infects the entire home network. Bless you.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think focusing on the house or the single, let's call them the single person, is so important. And there's so many areas that we can go through if we have the time, that we can help the listeners today just to, do these things. But they're actually so easy to do, but you've probably never heard of them before, and that's why I love sharing them. Brilliant.
Off you go.
Okay, so let's start with the first one, probably my most favorite one, and that is people using Wi-Fi. Now, if you go to a coffee shop, you won't log on to the main Wi-Fi that's owned by the coffee shop, would you? No, you would log on to the guest Wi-Fi. Yeah. Why do they do that? They do that because they want to protect their own computers from your potentially infected device. And if you think about a house, there's no different. Yeah. So if you're connecting to the same Wi-Fi network as your mother, not your mother, but your partner or your son or your daughter, if any of those devices gets infected, what do you think is going to happen to all the other devices? They'll also get infected. Right. So my first bit of advice today for everybody listening is to set up a second or third Wi-Fi. We call it SSID, just to be a little bit technical, but you'll have the current Wi-Fi and it'll be called, like in my case, let's say West Family. So what you do, if you're technical enough, otherwise I'll give you the other answer, you log on to your internet router or firewall, and you go to the Wi-Fi section, and in there, if you've got a fairly new one, even one that's maybe less than 3 years old, it will ask you if you want to create another one, like a guest one. Yeah. And you can sometimes, depending on the device, you can have 6 different Wi-Fi networks running off that same box. Right. So all you do is you set up a new one, and you call it My Work Wi-Fi or something, and then you put a new password in, and whatever you do not share that password with the kids. And then what you do is you disconnect from your original Wi-Fi, reconnect to the new one that you've set up, and guess what? You've just self-isolated yourself from all the other devices on the network. It is that simple. And if you don't know how to do it, please speak to somebody technical or phone your provider, your internet provider, and say, listen, I heard this talk from this mad South African, and he said that we need a separate Wi-Fi network for our work devices. And they will talk you through. It'll take you longer to get through to them than it will take to actually set it up.
So I'm going to play the part of, and it's a very realistic part of somebody who perhaps is not familiar with this. And so when you're talking about this, it's the same Wi-Fi. You're not saying to people that you've got to buy different packages of Wi-Fi. It all comes off your ordinary Wi-Fi router.
Absolutely. So there's zero cost in this process. None.
Yeah.
It's just time. It's just a bit of time. That's all.
So if you've got my work one, you'd have a separate one for your personal things, and then one for your partner and one for each of the kids.
Yeah.
Sounds like something very simple to do.
It is, and especially if you think about, and then you also have a guest one. So please, I beg everybody. So when you finally get guests to come to your house again, give them the guest username and password, or the guest Wi-Fi and password, so that if they walk in with an infected phone or infected device, that infection can't spread from one wireless network to another one. That is the beauty about using separate wireless networks from the same internet router or firewall.
Great. So anybody listening, please do it. Okay. Right. Number two.
Okay. So I've got a real big issue with USB pens. And here's the thing that we see often. What is the difference between a USB pen, the ones that you get, that you buy, 4 gig, 8 gig, and you store your files on there, and a phone? It's the same thing if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because the phone has got memory in, a USB stick has got memory in. Yeah. So unless you are 100% sure what's on that USB stick, please don't stick it into a laptop or a computer. And the same logic applies with the phone. So imagine somebody, and we see this a lot at home at the moment, where the kids go, oh, Papa, Mama, I can't find the charger. Oh, don't worry, son or daughter. Here's my cable. And they plug their smartphone directly via cable into your work laptop. And guess what has just happened? You've transferred that infection down the charging cable onto the computer. So it's such a simple thing. So the moral of the story is never, ever, ever allow anybody to charge anything on your phone. Just use the wall sockets, because that way you'll guarantee that no data no infection can spread from one device to the other device.
Thank you. Now, I know when we've spoken before, if I say passwords to you, that's something that usually elicits a response.
Yeah. Do you know that I meet so many people? Okay, let me tell you this now. As people are on the call today listening, I would like you to open up your Chrome browser, go to the top right, and you'll find there's 3 little dots there, or whatever it's called. Let me just have a look at mine. Yeah, 3 dots. If you click on the 3 dots and you go to settings, once you go to settings, you go to, there's a section called autofill. And then under autofill, you'll see passwords. If you go and look at those passwords, you will see every single password that you've ever saved, plus the location to get to the place you've been to, and it's sitting there in clear text. So if I want to hack your system, I will send you an email, your Hotmail or your Gmail account, and you'll click on the link, and I've just installed the keylogger. Remember that story? And now I'm sitting on your computer, and the next time when you go to sleep, I will then go into your Chrome and I'll scrape every single password and login that you've ever used in your life, which is not clever. So in the UK, only 4% of people are actually using a password manager, and it's such a simple thing to do. I don't understand why, because why would you not want to protect the things that allows you to log on everywhere in the world, into your Facebook, your Twitter, your WhatsApp, your Netflix account, your Amazon account? Why would you not protect that? So a password manager allows you to take that data that's sitting in your unsafe Chrome browser at the moment, or it could be Internet Explorer or Safari, they all have the same issue, and you pull it into a secure password manager. And then what you do is like the ones that we always recommend on our website, The next thing it does a complete check on the dark web to see if any of these passwords have been compromised.
Right.
And when it's been compromised, it will warn you and say, listen, your Netflix account is out there on the dark web for sale for less than 1 penny. But the other thing, even more important about passwords, is that, when you start using a tool like a good password manager, it saves you so much time. Because next time you want to go to Facebook or LinkedIn, you go to your password manager, which sits in your browser, as a little plugin, and you just type in FACE, and up comes your record inside your password manager. You click on the little arrow, and it takes you straight into Facebook and logs you in security. So really, passwords is probably one of the biggest reasons why people get hacked, Gina, because they're using the same password for more than one account, and they're using weak passwords.
My understanding is that lots of people just use the word password as their password.
Yeah, and do you want to know how long it takes to crack the password called password?
Not long.
Yeah, just under a millisecond. So there is a brilliant website, which again I like to share with people, and it's called howsecureismypassword.net. I'll repeat it: howsecureismypassword.net. And if you type in your password in it, it doesn't restore it. I promise. I've been using it for years. It'll tell you how long it takes to crack a password that you're currently using. So I'm just going to do it for fun now. If I type in the word password on my computer, that will be cracked instantly. Yes. And if you want to know how to crack passwords, let me teach you quickly. You go onto YouTube, you say, how do I crack passwords? And you'll get probably 200 email videos telling you step by step how to do it. But this is how you do it. So you go onto a site, you download what we call a password cracker, you install it on your PC or Mac, you run it, you point to something you want to crack, you press a button, and presto, instantly, for instance, the word password will be cracked.
It takes your breath away, really.
It does. Yeah, it is. And this is why scams have increased by so much, Gina, is because people are not doing the basics.
No.
They are, it's passwords for me. I'm glad you mentioned it. And let's go on a little bit on that one. For instance, WhatsApp. I've got so many people that I work very closely with, Hertfordshire Metropolitan and also Bedfordshire cyber teams. And the amount of calls we're getting because somebody's WhatsApp account has been hacked is phenomenal. The amount of calls we're getting with Facebook was hacked, or their LinkedIn account was hacked. And the reason for that is because people do not turn on multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. And if you remember the good old days with the banks, I've got mine here to hand. You've got this little credit card thing that you put your credit card in, you type in a number, and it gives you a code that only lasts for 30 seconds.
Yes.
That is the same thing. So banks have been using this for years, but the good news is now that we can do the same on our WhatsApp account. We can do this on our on our on our Netflix account, on our Zoom account, on our every account. So please, if you need any information about this, is one of the, again, guess what? It's free. It's free to set up. But here's the thing: if somebody, just going back to passwords a little bit, if I can put a keylogger on your PC or Mac, the very next time you log on to your secure online system, I've now captured your username and password. Right. Which means I can log on from anywhere in the world, look at your stuff without you even knowing. But the moment you turn on multi-factor authentication, I can't do it anymore.
No, because you've got to have the access to that in order to. Right.
You've got to physically. So what they've done now, and this is my recommendation again, Gina, is people download. I mean, there's many different apps out there that you can do it. I use the Microsoft one. It's called Microsoft Authenticator. You download it. It's free. You click on the plus sign and you follow the instructions. So, and whilst we're on the subject, just going back to WhatsApp, because so many people, are sending so many critical pieces of information on WhatsApp. It's frightening. And the way you do WhatsApp, just for our listeners today, it is so easy. You're going to find it really hard. So you open up WhatsApp on your phone. Yep. You click on settings down the bottom right.
Yep.
And then you click on account.
Yep.
And then you click on two-step verification and you press the enable button. Job done. It is
Isn't
that
it?
simple. And then, sorry, last thing, Gina, please, I beg everybody, then go and do it for your sister. So your sister, your brother, your uncle, your auntie, everybody. We need to share this with everybody, please.
What strikes me with all of this is that these are free, they're simple to do, and everybody thinks it won't happen to them. My personal story about I've been hacked, my Facebook account was hacked. This is going back about 6 or 7 years. And I couldn't get through to Facebook because all of the emails went to the hacker because they changed all of my details.
Yeah.
I'd spent a lot of time building up my Facebook following and so on. And I couldn't get to speak to somebody. In the end, after I used lots, I didn't know you in those days, but used lots of people. It cost me a lot of money and they failed to be able to sort it out. So I started up a new Facebook account. You'd think that the problem was solved then. 5 years later, suddenly the first account pops up, but I can't do anything with it. And because it was the first account, it got in the way of the second account. And so it started to be a pain again. So I really urge everybody, take these steps. They are simple, they are free, and they can make a huge amount of difference. Let's move into the professional arena now. So what advice have you got for people who are entrepreneurs, business people, people working from home, or people who've got a business and who are going into their business? How can you help them?
Well, we can help them with everything to do with securing not only their own data, but more importantly, their clients' data. And I listened, just before the session today, I've just come off another hour webinar on ransomware, because it's just going mental. So many small businesses. You know, in the UK, Gina, every second there are 4 new versions of unknown threats being released or in the planet. And in the UK, every 14 seconds, a UK company suffers from a ransom attack. So
I'm going to stop you, because for people who are perhaps not familiar with this, because it's never happened to them, what do you mean by a ransom attack?
Thank you for asking. So a ransom attack is where a hacker would go in and they encrypt all your files in such a way that you can't open any of the files. And worse, what they do is, normally, they on average, from studies we've done, they'll be on your systems for 237 days, and your normal antivirus software would never detect it. So they'll wait till like a bank holiday Saturday morning, and then they'll encrypt all your files. And what's worse, they'll go and delete your backups. So if your backups are not properly protected, then you can't restore it all. So then your only option is to pay them. Well, you've got 2 options. You pay them the ransom, and the ransom is normally done in Bitcoin. Now, at the moment, I don't know, today is the 1st of April, 2021. And at the moment, Bitcoin is running around about the $60,000 per Bitcoin. And depending on the size, $60,000.
Good gracious me.
Yeah, it's really gone up. It was 4,000 last year this time. Unbelievable. But so they're using Bitcoin because Bitcoin is so easily to disperse the money into millions of accounts instantly, and it's almost impossible to track. So that's why the hackers and scammers use Bitcoin as a payment method once they've ransomed all your machines. So ransom meaning they withhold all your data, and you can either wipe and reload your machines and go and restore from backup, or you pay the ransom, which I recommend you don't. But of course, in some cases, when people find out that their backups were never properly tested or their backups weren't properly protected, then they end up paying the ransom. So we offer a comprehensive service for our clients to protect the computers, to protect their password, to protect all their online data, and then we back everything up securely. And we do this with a team of people that we do 24/7 around the world, and 365 days a year.
One of the things that strikes me, you talked about the information that an organization holds, which is their own information. But I think perhaps an area that people are less aware of is the responsibility you have as a business when you're holding other people's data. And if that gets out, then not only is that an embarrassment to your company, because so much is based on trust and people trusting you with their data. And if you have a breach of that, then your integrity and your reputation is significantly bashed. But also, what do you do then when you have other people's information and you no longer have control of it?
Well, this is an interesting point, and this may be where we can touch on the dark web a little bit. That's why GDPR originally came out. And I think people have a legal and moral obligation to not only protect their own data, but of course their customers' data and their staff data.
Yes.
And the problem that we have now is, in the old days, as a business owner, you maybe had one office, if we're talking about a small business now. But now that one office has expanded massively, because every little house that people are working from is also an office. So now your security perimeter has exploded.
Yeah.
So now coming back to the data, even as far as what we're seeing now is people are sitting working from home, and they print stuff out. I mean, sensitive company data, and they leave it on the table only for the kids or the husband to see.
Yeah.
Now imagine if there's two lawyers sitting in the same household, and they're potentially working on different cases that's very sensitive. They shouldn't even be seen there. Or worse, I'll tell you, this is what we see. They print the stuff out and then they put it in the bin. They don't even discard the data properly. But coming back to the office. So the problem that we're seeing at the office, of course, is that, from a data perspective, once the data becomes lost, it becomes for sale on the dark web. Now, for the people here that don't understand, the dark web is where you can buy child porn, AK-47s, any ammunition, any drug of choice, and you can have it delivered to your house this afternoon. So that's not a good place for your data to also be sitting. So, one of the things I as you can imagine, I do a lot of talks on the subject, but one of the things I talk about is Zoom. So many people are using Zoom. Now, the problem is, last April, 500,000 email addresses and passwords for Zoom was compromised, and is now for sale on the dark web for less than 1 penny. Okay, so if I'm a hacker, all I have to do is to go and buy some of these records, and guess what? Most people are using the same password for Zoom as their email account, as their Netflix, as their Amazon account, and then they wonder why they get hacked.
Yeah.
So now that I've got that information, I now log on to your email account. Now I'm into your email account. I'm looking at all your sent items, and I'm looking at all the contract details, all your salary information that you email at your accountant or the payroll company, and I've got access to everything.
Yeah.
But it gets worse. Especially, we deal with quite a few, charities. Now, charities are used as conduits. So what the hackers do is they'll get into the charity. Now they've got access to all their rich donors, and they use that information to jump into the rich donors, systems or personal profiles.
Yeah.
Why? Because the stuff is not properly protected
now,
or monitored.
The thing is that people listening to this, it would be very easy to get incredibly depressed about all of this. But what strikes me is that actually that what you're offering is a message of much greater hope and optimism, but you do have to take some responsibility and you do have to take some action.
Yeah, the biggest reason sorry, Karen, yeah.
I'm going to say, what would you say to those people who are watching or listening who think, oh, but it's a bit of a fag, or I'm going to be fine? What would your response be to them?
What I would say to them, I'll see you on the other side. There's only 3 kinds of people on this planet, Gina.
Yeah.
Those who have been hacked, those are going to be hacked, and those who've been hacked but do not know they've been hacked. There's only 3.
Yeah.
So pick your choice. If I tell you in the UK alone, in the last 12 months, something like £36 billion has been lost through cyber-related theft. If we put all the other theft or criminality together, it doesn't get to that figure.
No.
So
and my sense check is it's only going to get bigger.
Of course it is. Why?
Yeah.
You remember what I said to you about the security perimeter? It's field days for hackers and scammers, because we've got so many more things or people where they're working from now, And it's so much less protected, especially with small businesses, because they're not speaking to a specialist. They're hoping that, some, I'm not going to mention names, some familiar a protection solution does it for them. Very good at marketing, but really bad at protecting.
Right. And of course, too late. The thing is, trying to close the door after the, stable door after the horse has bolted, which is what most people do, let's face it, is that they have a problem and then they think, oh, security, I need to make that a priority. And I know that there are many people who think, well, I'm busy and there's lots going on. But it just seems to me that what you're offering people is the light, actually. It's, if you do this, then you can sleep secure at night knowing that you are protected.
I had I'll give you another, can I tell another quick story?
Do.
It was recent. When was it? It was December. We'd just gone into the next lockdown. And this one of my friends, actually, he said his dad's Intel World email account got hacked. He's got a Mac, and most people think that Macs can't get hacked. And he was so disturbed by the whole thing that he didn't want to use his Mac anymore. But guess what? He needed his Mac to do video calls with his son. So we installed our security solution on his Mac. And within the first 17 minutes that we found that somebody was mining Bitcoin on his dad's Mac. Anyway, half an hour later, we cleaned the Mac, and his dad's got the confidence to use his machine again. But his dad sent us the nicest testimonial I've ever had in my life. And he said, Francis, thanks to you and your team, I know that every time I fall, you will catch us.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
And that's just, for me, that's wonderful, because that makes you sleep at night. If you know that you've got a team of people behind you that watches everything you click on, and if you make a mistake, we will just take out the threat. Okay. Whether it's 2 a.m. or 5 p.m, we will kill the threat every single time. And our solution, just so you know, comes with a ransom guarantee. So if the hackers can get past our solution, we will pay the ransom up to £800 per machine, or up to £800,000 per site per year. Nobody else does that, because that's, and our solution is also used by the likes of Barclays, NASDAQ, Netflix, TGI Fridays, Aston Martin. So this is big boy stuff. But this is the whole idea for me about security everywhere, is I want to get the big boys best protection and get it to the home user, or get it to the one-man band business owner, because they need the same protection as the big boys.
So does it matter where you are in the world? Can you help anybody anywhere? And if so, or even if it's just localized, where do people find you?
Oh, well, they just go onto the website. I mean, I'm all over LinkedIn. If you look me up, LinkedIn, Francis West. I post every day just to create awareness, but from a perspective of the website, if you go to www.security-everywhere.com, you can see our solutions there. You can chat with us. If you just wanted to have a chat anytime, I'd be delighted to. But yeah, we've got clients in 11 countries now, Gina, and that's expanding all the time. It's from South Africa to New York to Australia, Canada, Spain. We just got Nigeria, and also Dubai. That's, I don't know how many that is already, but yeah. So hackers do not care where you live. We do. Brilliant.
It just remains for me to say to you, well, firstly, before I say goodbye to you, is there anything else that I haven't given you an opportunity to share or say that you'd like to before we finish?
I think it's just doing the basics. If I could summarize, it's about, number one, remember what I said about the guest Wi-Fi. There's one thing I want to add to for everybody. This is another free tip. Everybody I meet do not use any security on their iPhone or their smartphone or their iPad. Here's one you can use, and it's free and it's brilliant. I've been using it for 2.5 years. It's called Sophos, SOPHOS Intercept X. Download it. install it. It's free. I don't know how long it's going to be free for, but it gives you a lovely layer of protection on your mobile device so that even if something else is infected, it's at least not going to infect your iPhone or your smartphone. Yeah.
Could you repeat that? And I'll ask Roxy if she could actually put that up on the screen for people.
Yeah. Shall I quickly put it on the? I'll put it on the chat. Sophos Intercept X. Yeah, this is such a great tool. Like I said, and it's free. And so Wi-Fi. So set up that guest Wi-Fi. Move your devices, please. Number one. Number two. Do not allow anybody to plug anything in your computer. Install Sophos Intercept X to protect your mobile devices. Start using a password manager, so that you can have control over what you're using. And there's many other things, but for me, it's all about diversion. And what by that I mean is the more layers we add to our security around us and our family, the more likely the hackers and scammers will go to somebody else. I always said, sorry, neighbor, because I know for a fact the neighbor's not as protected as I am. So and that's it, because they always love to go for easy targets.
Yeah.
So do not make yourself an easy target. Just do these things and and they won't come to you. It is that easy, in my head at least.
Well, I think you've offered people a really powerful, simple and free, for the most part, in terms of so much you can do for free, advice that can keep them safe. If you're a business owner, then I really urge you to get hold of Francis and talk to him about how you can protect your business, because ultimately, taking responsibility for that, and investing in that security can give you peace of mind and save you a whole load of heartache. Now, the show's not finished, but I'd like to say a huge thank you to Francis so much for joining us. As you know, we are members of B1G1, Buy One, Give One, and all of our guests are invited to choose a particular program that we then donate to on your behalf. And you have chosen what today?
Yeah, education, educating, young people for the future. This, for me, education is everything, because, we can put pumps in and we can do all this stuff, but if we educate people, we can teach them how to fish.
Brilliant. So thank you very much. Have a brilliant Easter weekend. I really appreciate your time. Don't go away, because the show's not finished. I'll see you after the break. Thanks, Francis. Thank
you so much, Gina. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Gina Gardner on Leadership for Life. We'll be back after this quick break. Want to get the best out of life personally and professionally? Are you ready to step into a life which excites and fulfills you? Well, the right place for you is Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. We will share with you stories from inspiring people, a wide range of guest experts, and lots of practical strategies to help you get the very best out of your personal and professional life. Leadership for Life is a radio and TV show focused on helping you live a happier, more successful, and fulfilling life. Join international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer, Gina Gardner, live every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Become the leader of your own life. Gina Gardner's #1 international best-selling book, Thriving Not Surviving, The 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success, and Fulfillment, provides you with the foundational principles on which to become the best leader of your own life. It's available as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and as an audio from genuinely-you.com, or also from Amazon. Every one of the principles have been proven to work for the countless people who have used them, including the author. Now, let's put them to work for you. If you're ready to discover your true leadership life design, accelerate your journey with an invitation to join Gina for Leadership for Life VIP Day. Choose your journey of self-discovery where Gina will help you navigate your way to happiness, success, and fulfillment. To find out more, email Gina at genuinely-u.com. Welcome back to Leadership for Life. Here is your host, Gina Gardner.
Hi there, and welcome back. We've got very few minutes left on the show, but I just felt it was important for me to outline with you where I'm going with the show. It's called Leadership for Life, but very deliberately, I include things which are about your personal life and about your business life. And it seemed to me that Francis had so much rich advice and support to offer for both personal and professional life that it was important that we spent time rather than just glossing over and giving you one or two things. Now, next week's show, for example, it is all about self-worth, and my expert next week is Anna Anderson, who's going to talk to you about her work with women, particularly around losing weight. Now, it's not a diet. It's not about that, but it is about finding that inner strength and purpose and understanding of self that allows people to feel free and to really make a significant difference in their life. Now, if there are any themes that you would like covered within this show, and you'll think, over the months that we've been doing it, we've covered a wide range of different topics, but all of them specifically lead to giving you the tools, the understanding, the awareness, and the opportunity for you to step into your power, to become the leader within your own life. What do I mean by that? Well, when you take responsibility, and I mean radical responsibility for you, your thoughts, your emotions, your language, and your behaviors, then you give yourself absolute freedom to be the leader in your own life. I believe that we're moving into a new era of consciousness, one where those people who are able to operate out of a high vibrational place, looking at, coming from a place of love rather than fear, recognizing that life can be joyful, even though there are challenges. And those of you that know my life story know that I've had a few of my own. So this is not about, having a great life only when things are going well. It's about how can you be the leader in your life every day of your life, every moment of every day, and giving you tools and, the opportunity to make some simple shifts that will help you. Now, in all things, it's not the grand gesture that makes that counts. It's the small things that you do on a regular basis that really do make the difference. So even if you took, for example, one of the things that was said by Francis today, that you go to Sophos Intercept X, or you sort your passwords out, or you separate the Wi-Fi things. If you take some action following these programs, take one or two of the threads and put those into your life, you will find that they make a difference. But one of the things that I'm going to ask you, well, there's actually a couple of things. Let us know the themes that you would like us to cover, and I'll find a great expert. Please, please let other people know about the show. Remember that every listener, B1G1 live or on a download, we then contribute to B1G1. If you're a business owner, go and have a look at B1G1. Use our code and let's see how far we can spread, making that positive difference. Whatever it is in your life, whatever life is throwing at you, please let us know. Email me at gina@genuinely-u.com. I'm very happy to answer questions. I'm very happy to share expertise, and would love it if you would let us know which themes you would like on Leadership for Life. Remember, you are the leader of your own life. Take charge of it. Take responsibility. Be the leader and be a great one. Be safe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye now.
You have been listening to The Leadership for Life with your host, Gina Gardner. Make sure you tune in to W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV next Thursday and every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for more Leadership for Life. If you missed any part of this episode or just want to hear or see it again, you can find the archive of the TV show on Talk 4 TV's YouTube channel and the podcast of The Leadership for Life on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast.